What's happening, guys? I hope everyone is well. I hope you've all had a great day, whatever you've been up to. I am opening up today with this next YouTube video. We're going to go over what we went over, just a bit of a daily recap. Looking at the charts today, it looks like we've done pretty well. I've had one win, one loss, while the loss came from Euro USD and the win came from S&P. So, the loss was in London, the win was in New York. So typically the way these recaps will work, I just do a little bit of a recording before what I'm kind of looking for, and then we kind of go on the end of the day to how we ended things. And it's just to hopefully give you a bit of educational insight into how we're trying to trade, what the simplicity of what we're trying to do, and just paying attention to price action and things like that. And today, to be honest, looking again at the charts, it's looked pretty good, because the last couple of days we've been in this horrible range. So last week, start of the new year, things like that, the range and the way the market was moving, it was ugly, and a lot of accounts were probably blown last week. And I think I took about 2 trades last week, and they just didn't really come to anything. But for today, it's been really good. We've made up for it, especially on a Monday as well. And I've always said to a lot of my students that on a Monday morning, don't take any trades, because you end up losing because of the manipulation that takes place. And what did I do? I took a trade in London session, and what did it do? It ended up losing. But I did say in the mentorship group that you should probably be conservative, wait for distribution, reaccumulation, things like that. But unfortunately, we took the trade, we lost, but no worries at all, because we took a New York session trade, which came in and really, really well. Still running up now as well, which is really good. So the bias was correct. All in all, a day of learning, a day of opportunity, a day of profit. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into the charts and see how we got on. So something just to bear in mind before the start of any trading day is that you have to go onto the news. You need to look at what is happening. So today is Monday the 9th of January. This is all in GMT time here, so obviously make this relevant to wherever you guys are tuning in from. Okay, so for example, if you're in the Eastern time, you can change the time zone and things like that. So this works on GMT time, and the only thing you really need to worry about with news is the time, the currency, and the color of the folder. I wouldn't, if you're a beginner, I wouldn't worry too much about the meaning of what the news actually represents and things like that. But what you can do is just look to see if we're going to have any potential high volatility today. So as we can see, today looks like a pretty quiet day ahead, which is pretty good. Looking ahead of tomorrow, we've got a bit more action happening. So USD 9 AM, so tomorrow's London session should be pretty good. And yeah, some odd news coming in, some CAD news very early tomorrow morning, just at the end of the Asian session. So yeah, it looks pretty good. Today looks pretty quiet, but if we move over to the charts, I am looking for potential buys on gold out of this area here to the upside. I would like to see price come down and then push higher. I do see this area here as liquidity, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. A couple of situations can obviously happen when it comes to this pair. We can just completely smash through it and attack this high here without coming down to mitigate. But that wouldn't be, we're not looking to take an entry in here. We want to buy when it's low, and you want to sell when it's high. So worst case scenario, if we do end up pushing through, then I would be looking for distribution on a higher time frame to come lower anyway, which should take us into our point of interest. So we'll wait and see really what happens with that one. But one thing we're just going to talk about today is, and I asked the guys in the mentorship group what they kind of want to talk about, and they just want to go over accumulation, distribution. So looking at Euro USD here, now we did have interest on taking sales from this area here, and I know a lot of people got in and a lot of people got stopped out. So what would you have wanted to wait for price to sell? So what we would have wanted to wait for was maybe some extra evidence, because when you break this down all the way from the top, we are looking, we could have easily had a sell in this area here, this daily area. We had price in here, and then we had price coming into this 4-hour area, and obviously look what's happened. We've broken above, and we've now come in above this high just here. So there's nothing wrong with taking this sell. This sell down here is absolutely fine, but you got stopped out today. That's just the way of the game. You're never going to come out of trading and have 100% win ratio. So how could you have potentially protected yourself in this trade? Well, this is where, you look at structure. We can see, from here we are moving upwards in this direction here. Maybe, we wait for price to close lower and then get in on a sell. So we actually have redistribution in this area here. So, just to kind of go over it again, a little bit more detail for you guys. Distribution is when price, we're looking for price to distribute on a higher time frame, so we can see price moving up and then we see this happen. So that there is distribution. Okay, and that is the pattern you just want to focus on happening. That is it. Okay, we want to see price shift to the downside, break structure to the downside, and then we identify our trading range, which is here, and we ideally want to get in on a sell. That there is your distribution. So redistribution would be, and I'll just bring this up a little bit. This is where you're looking for extra evidence. So as a good example, we can see we've broken structure. Now you're going to go down to a smaller time frame and you're going to see price do that. That there is your redistribution. So we've got distribution, and then we've got redistribution. Very, very simple. And that didn't happen on EU. It didn't give us the opportunity to do that on EU. Okay, that's why EU did what it did. It pressed higher, and that's okay. That's fine. We're not marrying a bias. That's the important thing you have to kind of understand when you're trading. Don't marry a bias. If you want to wait for extra evidence, wait for extra evidence. And sometimes this could still lose, but it just gives you a little bit of extra confirmation that potentially our sells are on. So this here could be on, a 1 hour, a 15 minute, a 4 hour, anything. And then what we get here is your redistribution on a 5 minute, a 1 minute, even a 15 minute. I mean, the thing is, when you look at the daily, what did we get? If you look at this area right here, we actually did distribute. So if I get rid of all this, in fact, let me save it quickly so I can send it to you guys. So I'm just going to save that there. Now, when we look at what actually happened on EU, we did distribute right here. Okay, we did distribute right there, but we obviously have pushed higher. Now, the 5 minute redistributed in our area right here. So that is redistribution. So the entry's fine. There's nothing wrong with the entry because you've got redistribution. Price just pushed higher, as we can now see. So as of now, this is where we need to obviously change our game a little bit. What can we potentially look for? Can you potentially still look for sells? Okay, now I'd be potentially looking for distribution above these highs. I'd maybe want to see price take this area here out. If we can do that, then maybe we're going to get some distribution above, because distribution can take place anywhere. You've got to remember, at some point price has got to come down now. It's not going to go up forever. Price will end up coming down. So maybe you're going to see some, at the moment this is the low, this is the high. 5 minute structure. Low, high, low, high. We've got a new high being formed as we speak. We've got about 3 minutes 35 seconds until that happens. Once that happens, if we start getting this happen here, then I'll be looking on a smaller time frame for this to happen. And if we get that, you've got redistribution above highs. You've taken out highs, redistribution, and you could get some really, really nice counter trend sells in this area. Obviously, if you want to be conservative, it's all about waiting, and if price does do this, it will give us a lot of good bias for buys, meaning that we're waiting this area here for price to come back and distribute to the upside to then press higher. Okay, so that there is Euro USD. So obviously, if anyone's got any questions on that, please feel free to put a comment in. Okay. It's important to start from the higher time frames and work your way down. And if we go on to gold, we'll just see how gold's doing right now. It looks like we're actually going to take that high first before we come into this entry here. You know, the reason I was waiting for price to come down here is because that's a 1 hour candle. But what I can see on gold is that we are currently reacting within this area here, which is our imbalance. So there's a lot of potential that actually we're not actually going to come down to this level here. The only reason I would have liked it to is because under there, this line here represents liquidity, and that there is an area which could easily be tapped out, especially on a Monday when we know there's manipulation in the markets. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. I mean, as of now, there's potential to do that, but I wouldn't like to say right now. So we've got 25 minutes until the open. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Looking at the indices. Now this is my baby. This is what I like trading. Pardon me. No, I'm not in any trades right now. I did take a small loss on EU. I was waiting for distribution to get in. But looking at NAS, I still think we could definitely press higher on NAS. You know, because what I'm looking at on S&P is for price to tap into this imbalance. So for price to move higher, you would hope that NAS will also move higher. We have got, you know, we've taken out this liquidity here. We've got this liquidity here in the form of this high. So that there has got to really be the next target. And obviously looking above, we've got a huge amount of imbalance. So I am definitely a little bit more on the, you know, short-term bullish side for overall sells. You know, looking at here, you know, the monthly and all that, we are bearish. We are moving up. We are moving its way lower. The weekly, however, you know, we're in an area where we could potentially move higher. But at the same time, you know, we've reacted from this spot here. So because we've reacted from this spot here, taking out, you know, liquidity in the process, I don't know if we're going to come as far up before we end up taking these lows here. So I think long-term targets would be sells, targeting this low here, even just targeting these lows right here that are being formed. And we have reacted from this weekly candle. As we can see, this weekly candle really clean, took out liquidity. Obviously we're pushing lower, so we're either going to sell off from here or we're going to come a bit higher. I would like to see price come a little bit higher because, as I say, I am looking for S&P to come a little bit higher as well. So we'll wait and see. I am looking to take some trades today. You know, I am looking to take some trades today. But again, I'm only going to take it if price meets confirmation. I've already taken one this morning. But I don't typically trade London. I prefer trading New York. You know, as of right now, you know, it's a bit choppy, but you could get a little buy in here to go in a little bit further. But you are in an area where really anything can happen. I'd really wait and see what happens when the volatility kind of kicks in. You know, looking at S&P, it is looking good. I mean, the thing is, you've got to remember the buys for S&P were all the way down here. You know, this area here was really strong. And then looking at what we're doing here, you know, NAS again, that was our point of interest on NAS the other day, and you know, really strong areas up here for buys. And there was a really good buy model which took place in here as well. So as of now, you wouldn't really want to buy when it's this high. Buying when it's this high, guys, isn't something I'd ever recommend unless you get liquidity grabs to the upside. So for example, if you're, you know, you're looking to buy and price is kind of doing that, well, it's really hard to buy because on a bigger time frame it's just going to look like one candle, right? So what I would like to see, if I'm going to buy up here, and let's say we're targeting this area here, I'd really want to see, you know, some liquidity being formed, a little high being made, and then a nice little sweep above, and then a little bit more accumulation for that kind of thing to happen. Because this is where the buys should be, down here. But when targets are taken, it's very hard to justify why you would get into a buy. That's the thing on EU. Let's look at EU for a second. No one really should be looking at buys up here because it's taken the targets. We're just about to take this daily high here. You know, we've taken this 4-hour high. So if we've got this short-term high, you know, this high here looks like it's going to be grabbed any time now. If the 15-minute hadn't, if this high does not get grabbed, and we maybe get like a little sweep, maybe below here, and then a nice little push, then we could get a short-term buy to go and do that. Because what you'd end up doing is breaking, this structure here. And obviously if you do that, you break the structure there and you'll take the liquidity grab. Sorry, that's what I meant. So you take that liquidity and you fill in this imbalance. And that looks pretty strong. But that is extremely short term. That could get you maybe a 1-to-1, a 1-to-2, a 1-to-3 if you're really, really lucky. As opposed to when you get in down here for buys to the upside. I mean, if you took the trade down here now and you held it and you put your stop below here and you held it, right now that's a 1-to-11. You might 1% risk on that, you're 11% up. 2% risk, that's just incredible. So yeah, that's potentially what I'd like to see happen today. We got, as I say, 20 minutes now till the open. We'll analyse and see what happened at the end. Okay guys, just to recap the trading day we had, it's coming up to 3:15 GMT time, so the trading day is pretty much over in terms of charts and things like that I'm going to be looking to get into today. But I did manage to catch a small move on S&P to the upside, which looks pretty good. Looking at what here, this red line represents the open of the New York session, so that's registered there to hit in at 2:30 GMT. And what we can notice is the price stole liquidity up here and then came down to take that liquidity in here. Now when we jump up to a higher time frame, we can see that price is obviously filling in imbalance, coming into this FU candle here, which also took out the liquidity on this side just here. So once that happened, obviously we came in and pressed higher. So we had a lot of volatility. Today was definitely an up day, a buying day, and my entry was just on this 1 minute area here. I think my actual entry was in the 30-second imbalance, just in this order block just here. The perfect entry, however, would have been on 30-second time frame with this accumulation to the upside. That there is a stunning trade entry. So really, really, really nice price action. If you took that, you'd have been up at 7-to-1 right now. This came in at about 7-to-1. There wasn't really any targets, so it wasn't really a great trade in terms of that, because you would like to see targets. However, this I held it and held it and held it, and I just got out when I started seeing it distribute on a lower time frame. So all is well there. NAS again, really, really nice opportunities to the upside. We saw price moving higher in the end. As we can see in this area right here, price came into this back down to retest this level, 5 minute time frame, really, really nice. And then 2:30, you've got your accumulation here. So really, really nice price action. If you'd have taken it on NAS, you could have taken it there. You would have had to endure a little bit of drawdown, and hopefully if you've got good spread, you would have been okay. So if you'd held that, you would have been up for about a 10-to-11-to-1 run out. If you held it to the very top, that's a 14-to-1. Hopefully you were a little bit more conservative, because as I say, looking at that low there, it was pretty low to getting you in to drawdown, so potentially you could have been stopped out. And obviously looking at EU, we were looking for a sell at this area here. Now we ignored that and we completely pushed higher. I did take a small loss on that earlier today because I entered on the 5 minute time frame, which was around about here somewhere. And obviously looking what happened, price has pushed higher. So I was looking for potential sales, but this liquidity was here, so I never took it. And obviously that's why you don't take when you've got the liquidity gap. I did put this in the mentorship group earlier as well. I did put a comment in which literally said, be careful of the liquidity grab, because if you're looking for sales distribution, that's why it can easily get taken. So price offers this small rejection, but actually what it's doing, it's grabbing liquidity right here. It's coming into this imbalance right here, and price is pressing higher. So it's a break of structure which kind of fooled you to think it was anything more. It pushed higher. So today has been a very bullish day all around, which looks pretty good. And that is really the only two pairs I looked at. I did have a little look on gold earlier. I was looking for price to come into this area in here. It doesn't look like we're going to do that. We have taken out that target now, so I'm not going to be interested in anything that happens down here because we haven't really got any targets to go for. I would anticipate actual distribution, to be honest now, just to the downside, because when I look at the higher time frames, we are very, very high on the trading range. So, when I kind of see, this is the low, this is the high, it'd be worthwhile waiting to see price come into this order block here, or anywhere within this move that caused this price to push to the upside. So yeah, if you're a gold buyer, I would be potentially looking for something to happen in here. I wouldn't be looking in here anymore, as I say, because we've taken our target. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the day, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've had a good day wherever you've been. Hope you've obviously been blessed with learning opportunities going forward. My advice, as always, focus on just one pair. I was on this pair earlier in NAS, and I was following it all the way throughout New York session. I was watching and watching and watching, but I missed this 1 minute entry right here. That would have been a really, really nice entry, and that was on the 30-second. I think the only thing that would have put me off would have been the fact that we didn't break structure on the 1 minute here. We kind of respected this area, so it looked like it was going to go lower. But I waited for confirmation. Price pressed higher. We had this opportunity here. This imbalance here was a really nice play as well. So yeah, all round pretty good potential. I mean, as of now, you could easily be looking to get in on this imbalance, maybe right here. Although it's just a bit choppy now because we're coming into the New York session lunchtime area, which is a bit of a funny time to trade. So I'm done for the day. I'm happy with the trade opportunity that we've got. I'm happy with what I've learned today. I'm happy with the developing that everyone else is doing, and it's all round been a pretty productive day. So as far as Mondays go, when Mondays are typically the bad days for trading, and looking at news as well, we haven't really got a lot that's happened today. It's been a pretty good day. So yeah, tomorrow will be a better day, hopefully, with a bit of news. London session tomorrow, 9 o'clock, so keep an eye on that. It's going to be pretty interesting to see the volatility on the USD pairs, and that will follow through into New York session as well. So don't think just because you see the time and the currency and the red folder at that time that you're not going to see anything throughout the day after 9 o'clock. This could easily spread out some decent volatility throughout the day. So guys, with that, I will see you tomorrow for the next analysis session.